Enable Brotli compression in Apache for Jenkins. With the release of Jenkins LTS 2.479.1, there is a new option that gives you the ability to turn off compression within the Jetty servlet engine, opening up options to be able to use your own compression on reverse proxies. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Brotli compression with the Apache HTTP server. So here's today's starting point. I have a Jenkins LTS controller version 2.479.1. It's sitting behind an Apache HTTP server. Now, if you're watching this video and you're currently using the Apache HTTP server as your reverse proxy, you're good to go ahead and follow along with the video. However, if you want to use the Apache HTTP server as a reverse proxy for your Jenkins controller, down in the description of this video is a link to another video that I did about how to set up the Apache HTTP server as a reverse proxy for Jenkins. I'm not going to go into all the details for that, so if you're wanting to do this from scratch, go watch that video first and then come back to here. Now, you'll also notice that I have the Web Developer Tools window open. If I click on Dashboard, we can see that it reloads. I've also disabled cache so we can see all the actual changes that are happening throughout. So if you want to test this out yourself, don't forget to check Disable Cache. Now, the file that I'm going to be watching for is vendors.js. So we'll go ahead and click on Dashboard one more time, and vendors.js is right here. What you'll notice, if we take a look at this, our current response header for content encoding is gzip. The default compression within Jetty is gzip. So that's coming out from Jetty and through the Apache HTTP server. So the first thing that we want to do in order to get started here is we want to go ahead and enable the Brotli compression algorithm within Apache. Notice here that the bytes transferred were about 196K. But the raw file size is about 750K. So remember, gzip, about 196K. Now, the first thing that we're going to need to do is enable the Brotli filter within our Apache HTTP server. From this point on, I'm just going to call it Apache. So let's go over to the documentation for mod Brotli. Notice that I'm in version 2.4. The version of HTTP that I'm running, or the version of Apache, if I just say HTTP-D-V, I can see everything that's there, but most importantly for me, I'm running 2.4.37. Now, here's the difference for you. If you're not running a version that has Brotli available to you, that's basically full stop. You're not going to be able to do anything, and you'll just use gzip from this point forward. However, if you're in a version of Apache that does support Brotli, be sure to review the documentation. Now, you'll notice within Add Output Filter by Type, we have Brotli Compress, and then all of the different content types that are going to get compressed when it runs. Now, one more option that I want to call out that we're going to be setting is the compression quality. By default, the compression quality is 5. We'll test a few things as we go through, but just remember, compression quality is 5. So let's go ahead and go back into our controller where we also have Apache running. I'm going to edit my configuration for Apache. It's just named Jenkins Conf in my case. I already have the lines in here that I need. So anytime I enable a module within Apache, I always do an if module, just in case it's not there. So that way it's safely can be added in. There's our add output filter by type. And then we have our Brotli compression quality. Now remember, the default is 5. I've just set it to 4 just so we can see a difference here because we're going to be making some adjustments to that value. So we've uncommented all the lines and everything looks okay. So let's go ahead and save this, and I'm going to go ahead and restart Apache. Now that Apache's restarted, let's go ahead and go back over into our controller. We'll click on the dashboard link. Let's look for vendors.js, and notice still that we have our content encoding is gzip. Well, if you think back to the beginning of the video, I said there is a value that we can use within Jenkins to disable the compression. So since the compression is still set to gzip, even though we're still passing in content from Jetty up into Apache, because we're passing in the gzip compression, Apache's just taking that and passing it on through. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and go in and disable the compression within Jenkins. Let's go ahead and go back over into our machine here. We're going to edit our configuration for our Jenkins controller. Under environment, we have a Jenkins ops value. We're going to modify this, and we're going to say -- compression equals none. Currently, there are only 2 options for compression. It's gzip and none. So let's go ahead and save this, and let's go ahead and restart our controller. Now that the service is restarted, let's go ahead and go back over to the controller. We'll click on Dashboard, and let's click on Vendors again. Notice now the content encoding is content encoding BR. Also notice that we transferred over about 200K. Now you may be thinking to yourself, okay, well, gzip was about 196K, so this isn't any better. But also remember that we set the value for Brotli compression from 5 down to 4. The default was 5, we set it to 4. Let's go in and modify our compression from 4 to 9. Now the values for compression go from 0 to 11. So we're not going to go all the way up to 11, but let's go up to 9. So let's go back into our configuration. We're going to edit our Apache configuration. Let's change our 4, replace it with a 9. Let's go ahead and save this, restart Apache. And now let's go ahead and go back over to the controller. We'll click on Dashboard one more time, click on Vendors. We still see Brotli is our content encoding, and we can see now that the actual amount transferred is 178K, or about 179K. So by bumping up the compression quality from 4 to 9, we got a lot more compression. Now there's trade-offs in doing compression. Test it for yourself and figure out which compression value works best for you. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach out to us on X at CloudBees. If this video was helpful to you, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to CloudBees TV yet, why not? Take a moment, click on that subscribe button, and then ring that bell, and you'll be notified anytime there's new content available on CloudBees TV. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.